on camera, a local entertainer attacked by armed intruders storming a South Florida barbershop.
You're not balling. It look better on camera because I'm seeing it. Look, put the game. It look better on camera. This garbage. Garbage. I'm sure I wouldn't even put it on my neck, man. I don't know these.
Hey, no, not Migos. The Migos out here fighting this. No, the Migos out here fighting this. Not Quavo. Not Tyga. No.
Rappers these days go all out, flooding their necks and wrists with diamonds, but that kind of shine also makes them major targets for robberies, or even worse, from how Waka Flocka was shot and nearly killed over his chains.
Before your debut album, you were shot and robbed at a car wash. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, I still go to car wash. Yeah, I know what happened. Definitely, 100%. I thank God for that too. That was a blessing.
While Drake had $1 million chain snatched from his tour bus.
Someone stole $3 million worth of jewelry from Drake's tour bus.
First up, we got Jim Jones. Back in the mid-2000s, Jim was riding high off Dipset's success. He had finally stepped out from under Cameron's shadow and was doing his thing, especially after dropping the massive hit We Fly High, Ballin', in 2006. Flashy, loud, and repping Harlem like a king. But that flashy vibe didn't sit right with Tru Life. He wasn't feeling how Dipset, especially Jim, were moving. Tru felt Jim was putting on a gangster image that didn't match reality. Things got heated quick between them, and by late 2006, it hit a boiling point. That's when Tru Life's crew allegedly caught Jim Jones slipping in NYC and took his Dipset chain. The story is that Jim got pressed hard, maybe even jumped, and walked away without that iconic eagle chain. Not long after, Tru Life added fuel to the fire by posting pictures online rocking the chain, clowning Jim and the whole Dipset crew.
You're not balling. It look better on camera because I'm seeing this. Yeah, look, put the game. It look better on camera. This garbage. Garbage. I'm sure I wouldn't even put it on my neck. I don't know these niggas.
Their beef didn't really go anywhere after that, especially since Tru Life ended up doing an 8-year stretch after pleading guilty to gang in 2011. But years later, they eventually squashed the beef. Word is it was through Roc Nation. Next up, we've got Gunplay. Back in 2012 at the BET Hip Hop Awards, things got real messy when Gunplay ended up in the middle of a serious altercation with G-Unit's crew. Video footage from that night showed Gunplay getting tossed into a metal barricade, and it wasn't a good look at all. Now, the footage was shaky, but it clearly showed 50 Cent and his entourage in the parking lot when all hell broke loose. While it's hard to say for sure if 50 himself threw any punches, someone can be heard on the recording saying that was 50 fighting too.
Got that?
Nigga, I got
That 50 fighting?
Yo, what 50 fighting too? Word? Yeah.
Gunplay, outnumbered and taking heavy hits, somehow managed to fight back. But before things could get even worse, police rushed in, spraying mace to break up the melee. So what led to this? Apparently, Gunplay was standing somewhere he wasn't supposed to be, and when people told him to move, he refused, and that decision cost him.
You got people from Interscope telling him to go another way. He's being told this multiple times to go another way. And he realizes in the process of being told that he see us back there. The homie looked at him and said to him, "You know you're not supposed to be here right now." And then he got punched in the mouth. And after he got punched, he got his ass beat.
Next up, Trinidad James. He exploded onto the scene in 2012 with all gold everything. The gold, the swag, the wild fashion. He had everybody talking, especially with that "don't believe me, just watch" line.
Gold all in my chain, gold all in my ring, gold.
But in 2013, things went left real fast. During an NYC performance, Trinidad got a little too bold on stage and said something that pissed a lot of people off. "I remember when New York ran this ish, but we run y'all musically. The South runs New York. Don't get it twisted."
When New York rap was the and us in the South, us Bammers, we was like, what the fuck? And we just did our own thing. But now we run y'all musically. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That rubbed a lot of NYC rappers the wrong way. The South versus East Coast tension was already bubbling. and that comment lit the match. Rappers like Mano, Uncle Murda, and a few others didn't take it lightly. Not long after, a video popped up of Trinidad James being pressed in New York by what looked like street dudes. Some say they were tied to Mino. The internet blew up with rumors that he got his chain snatched. Some say he gave it up to avoid getting beat down. Others say it happened in a hotel lobby. There were even talks that he had to check in or pay a fee to get it back. Up next, we got Slowbucks. This one went down in 2014 at Hot 97's Summer Jam. Slowbucks was out there on stage, feeling himself, when out of nowhere he gets punched and robbed for his chain. Rumors started swirling that 50 Cent was the mastermind behind it. Let's break this down. Once upon a time, Slowbucks and 50 were cool. 50 even co-signed him, which was a huge deal.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy 50 here, man. My man Slow. You already know what time it is. Slowbucks is going down right here real big. Cooking up something new, working on a new album.
But things changed when Slowbucks started hanging with the ops, people that 50 was beefing with. Not only that, but he was out here appearing in diss track videos. That was a big mistake.
For my haters, say a prayer for my enemies.
If there's one thing about 50 Cent, it's that you don't want to be on his bad side. Even Tony Yayo once said that if you're beefing with 50, your best bet is to just stay away. Slowbucks clearly didn't get that memo.
What happened? 50's crazy, man. Just stay away from that. That's it. Stay away from 50. He's really like that, man. And, you know, it's no disrespect to Slow and them. We was cool at a moment, but sometimes things just change.
And it wasn't just Yayo saying this. Trav, who had already experienced firsthand what happens when you cross 50, said that Slowbucks shouldn't have stepped on to that Summer Jam stage.
How I felt about the situation is he should have never been on stage. He know that. He should have never been on stage.
Then there's Shawn Kingston, who might be one of the most well-known examples when it comes to chain snatching. Dude's been hit multiple times, but the wildest incident happened in 2013 at a penthouse party in LA. Supposedly, a group of Compton gang members ran up on him and took his $300K rose gold Cuban link chain with the matching pendant. No charges ever stuck, but the streets were talking. Word was, the dudes who took it were affiliated with the game. Shawn Kingston called the game out over it.
Listen, you fake. You a but the whole world know what you about. You trying to sell some albums. How the look beefing with a pop star? You know what the happened in the club. Ran up, hit me in the head with a bottle, they took off my jewelry.
And of course, the game clapped back hard.
I wonder how many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches Meek had to make your fat jelly bean smug and switch up on his Instagram when you know well that you got robbed in the club, ran for all jury.
Later on, Brick Baby did a no-jumper interview and straight up said he was the one who took the chain.
I had to get up on Shawn Kingston. I had a backstory.
Scam you for some juice?
Yeah, but I booked cuz though. I took his chain and his rings.
Now Quavo's situation was wild too. In 2014, after a Migos show in DC, a huge fight broke out, and when it was over, Quavo's quality control chain was missing.
Hey, no, not Migos! The Migos out here fighting! Not the Migos out here fighting! Not Quavo! Not Tyga!
Around that time, the Migos had been beefing with Chief Keef, Fredo Santana, and the GBE crew. Not long after the brawl, Chief Keef posted a photo of Quavo's chain on Twitter, then deleted it. But the drama didn't last too long. A few weeks later, Migos posted a pic of themselves with Keef, calling it Miglo, a mix of Migos and Glow Gang, and Quavo had his chain back like nothing ever happened. And then there's Young Buck, who ended up losing his chain because of his friend's mistake.
Look what happened. Now your career on the line. It's Ja Rule finna get your chain.
In 2004, G-Unit was dominating the rap game. Amid all the excitement, Young Buck and Lloyd Banks hit the road to promote their new albums, which brought them to Chicago. Now, if you know anything about 50 Cent, he's always been a calculated and cautious leader, especially when it comes to protecting the G-Unit brand and their reputation. Before they touched down in Chicago, 50 gave strict instructions. Handle your business, then go straight back to the hotel. No partying, no hanging out in the streets. He had a feeling something could go wrong, and he wasn't about to let anything jeopardize their image or safety.
We were just supposed to be doing a radio promo in that city. They actually had
said we wasn't supposed to go out.
Banks and Buck took 50's words to heart. After doing a radio interview and performing at a concert later that night, they went straight back to their hotel rooms, ready to chill and call it a night. But not everyone in their crew was on the same page. Enter D-Tay, young Buck's longtime friend and hype man. D-Tay often performed with Buck on stage, hyping up the crowd while rocking G-Unit's iconic spinner chain. This wasn't just any piece of jewelry, it was a status symbol. The chain, designed by Lloyd Banks, had a spinning G-Unit logo in the center and was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. 50 Cent made it famous by wearing it in music videos and photo shoots, but Buck was the one who really put it on the map. The spinner chain represented everything G-Unit stood for: success, toughness, and dominance in the rap game. At the time, G-Unit was viewed as one of the hardest crews in the industry, so a stolen chain would have been a major blow. That's why 50 warned everyone to stay low-key and avoid unnecessary risks. But of course, 50 couldn't control every move made by the people around him, and D-Tay ended up ignoring the warning that night in Chicago. D-Tay had a friend in Chicago who was hyped to show him around the city, and despite all of 50 Cent's warnings, D-Tay couldn't resist the temptation. Young Buck, meanwhile, had already settled back at the hotel with a woman and wasn't trying to go anywhere. But this was D-Tay's first time in Chicago, and he wanted to see what the city had to offer, especially the nightlife.
They actually had said we wasn't supposed to go out just to do the radio and go back to the hotel. But I had never been to Chicago, so I wanted to get out.
The problem was that D-Tay didn't want to spend money to get into a club. So instead of paying for his night out, he decided to flex his G-Unit affiliation for free entry. That's when he snuck into Buck's hotel room and grabbed the infamous G-Unit spinner chain. The plan was simple: rock the chain, show people he was with G-Unit, and walk right into any spot like a VIP. What could go wrong, right? Well, plenty. D-Tay and his boys didn't head to just any club. They decided to hit a spot right outside Cabrini Green, one of the most notorious neighborhoods in Chicago.
We ended up going out, riding around looking for somewhere to go. I'm not knowing where we at, so we ended up, from what I'm hearing, ended up pulling somewhere around Cabrini Green.
But D-Tay, being new to Chicago, probably had no idea what kind of place he was stepping into. He figured rocking the G-Unit chain would shield him from any issues. What he didn't realize was that while G-Unit might command respect on the East Coast, their influence didn't stretch as far in Chicago. And this wasn't just any neighborhood, this was Cabrini Green. By the time D-Tay and his crew got to the Dragon Room, a club in the area, it was already late. The Dragon Room was one of the only spots still open after midnight, and it was notorious for attracting a rowdy crowd. When D-Tay pulled up, the bouncers spotted the chain and let him and his homies in without a cover charge.
When we pulled up, I was out the window in the club, and one of the security guards at the club was in the door, and he knew we was in the city, so he was like, "Oh, okay, G-Unit, like, y'all good, come on, y'all good."
Outside the club, things seemed chill at first. D-Tay and his boys started talking to a group of women hanging around near the entrance. One of the women seemed interested in D-Tay, but he noticed something odd. She kept glancing over his shoulder like she was watching something behind him. Curious, D-Tay turned around and saw 3 or 4 guys crossing the street and heading toward them. At first, it didn't seem like anything. The guys walked past D-Tay and his crew and went straight into a corner. Relieved, D-Tay shrugged it off and went back to chatting with the woman.
We watch them. They walk on through us, headed towards the club, though. Okay? So we didn't think too much about it. We watched them, and they went on and walked. Then they walked on around the corner. They didn't go in the club.
But just a few minutes later, one of those same guys reappeared. This time, things escalated quickly. The man pulled out a gun and fired a shot at D-Tay's foot, the loud crack of the gunshot shattering the night. Before D-Tay could fully register what was happening, he heard someone yell from behind, "Gimme that," and felt hands grab at the chain around his neck.
Son came back around, ran up behind me, grabbed the chain from the back, shot at the ground. Now he's got his hand on my piece back here and shooting at the ground saying, "Give me that."
In a split second, D-Tay's instincts kicked in. He grabbed onto the chain, trying to stop the guy from snatching it, but it was chaos. His homie pulled out a gun and started firing back, and suddenly both sides were letting off shots. D-Tay's adrenaline was pumping as he clutched the chain, but when he looked up, he saw the size of the gun the robber was holding. It was massive, and in that moment, he realized it wasn't worth dying over a piece of jewelry, even one as iconic as the G-Unit spinner chain.
Oh, so he's saying, "Give me that." He done shot one time. When he shot, my nigga Manny shot. Okay, so it was like a boom. Then Manny shot, boom. Then he shot again, boom. I seen the barrel. And when I seen the barrel, that was about that long, Paul. So I know what I do. Man, you can have this shit. You feel what I'm saying? I flicked the necklace on off.
Reluctantly, he let go. D-Tay unclasped the chain from his neck and handed it over to the robbers, who quickly disappeared into the night. When D-Tay finally told Buck that the iconic G-Unit spinner chain had been snatched, Buck was furious. 50 Cent had explicitly warned everyone to avoid going out and getting into any trouble. And on top of that, D-Tay wasn't even supposed to have the chain in the first place.
I'm like, the G-Unit spinner. He like, the G-Unit spinner? Tay, no, Tay. You wasn't even supposed to have the chain. How you get the chain, Tay?
Buck knew there was no way around it. They had to call 50 and let him know what happened. And then the situation got even worse. The goons who had snatched the chain started doing interviews, bragging about how they got it.
Look what happened. Now your career on the line, because Ja Rule finna get your thing. You dumb.
They claimed they were mad about being denied entry to the club and saw D-Tay standing outside, distracted, and wearing a flashy piece of jewelry. To them, it was an easy opportunity, and they decided to make their move. Eventually, with 50's connections and influence, the chain was recovered, but not before D-Tay got kicked off the tour. Next up, we got Fetty Wap. On March 26, 2017, things got real in his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey. Fetty got into a scuffle at a 24-hour deli, and by the end of it, his signature 1738 chain was gone. A guy named Ronald Fuzz Thomas ended up in the spotlight after posting a picture of himself rocking Fetty's chain like a trophy. But flexing too hard backfired. Fuzz got arrested, not just for the chain, but for pulling a gun and allegedly firing shots during the whole situation. Waka Flocka's story is straight up crazy. On January 21st, 2010, he was approached by a robber who demanded his chain. Waka was complying, but the dude still shot him in the shoulder. Later on, someone claimed responsibility for taking his Brick Squad chain and even sent a photo as proof. But Waka didn't let it get to him. He told MTV he'd already moved on and even thanked the guy who shot him, saying it opened his eyes.
Before your debut album, you were shot and robbed at a car wash. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, I still go to car wash. Yeah, I know what happened. Definitely, 100%. I thank God for that too. That was a blessing.
Then there's Shy Glizzy. Back in 2015, Glizzy was doing a show in Memphis when his Glizzy gang chain reportedly got snatched. Glizzy later rapped that it actually fell off during his performance, and once it hit the ground, Broke Boys had a scrimmage. At first, the robbers demanded $50K to give it back.
50 for them all. You should have did a song. You nice to do a song. You said get the
But according to reports, CMG's own Black Youngsta stepped in and got the chain back for just $10K. Tyga's experience goes back to before he was really famous. In a 2008 interview, he admitted he was still learning how wild fame could get. That year, he was robbed for his chain. But karma hit quick. The guys who took it ended up getting robbed themselves by 40 Glock's crew. 40 Glock even posted a video flexing with Tyga's chain.
You see who it is. Infamous, nigga, you see what it is.
I know them G-Unit niggas don't play.
You see what it is. Popping man. Popping that shit, man.
Tyga didn't trip too much though. According to him, his people in the streets eventually got the chain back. All they wanted in return was a guest verse. Then we got young Berg, and his situation went down inside a club. Now Berg thought he was straight. He had tight security around him, so he probably felt like there was no way anything could happen.
They was like, come to the club, and I had security with me. I had U.S. Marshals, I had all type of stuff with me, so I felt like we was straight. I had all different type of jewelry on me because I got a few different pieces.
But as we've seen time and time again, security doesn't always mean safe. While he was in the club, some dudes ran up on him and jumped him.
I'm walking through or whatever because I look shady, and then next thing I know, boom, the guy that went in on me.
In the middle of all that chaos, he was holding on to his chain for dear life, trying to make sure they didn't snatch it. But after a few hits, reality set in. His life was worth way more than a piece of jewelry.
I'm holding on to the chain, because the chain is heavy as hell. I'm holding on to it the whole time. And then we get to the back, and then like 3 or 4 dudes started getting on me, and I was just like, you You know what I'm saying? Like, my life is way more valuable and more important than this.
But that wasn't the end of it. After the robbery, the culprits didn't just take the chain and keep it pushing. They wanted to let the whole world know what they did. They started flexing the chain online, showing it off like a trophy and bragging about it.
This young buck chains from Des Moines.
Y'all hear that? One more time. Let me hear that one more time.
Good
Well, that is Chicago.
Then there's Brisco. In August 2009, he was at a barbershop in Miami when things turned violent. He had just wrapped a photo shoot and stopped by the shop before 1 p.m. One guy came in pretending to be a customer and gave the signal for 3 other armed men to rush in. They pistol whipped Brisco, made everyone hit the floor, and demanded his car keys.
Caught on camera, a local entertainer attacked by armed intruders storming a South Florida barbershop.
They ended up taking over $35,000 worth of jewelry, including a diamond-studded gold watch, a chain, a bracelet, his Louis Vuitton wallet, and over $1K in cash. They even fired 3 shots before taking off, luckily hitting no one. Next up is Ice Cube, and this one stemmed from a feud with Cypress Hill. The drama started with the Friday movie soundtrack, which Ice Cube curated. One of the standout tracks on the album was Roll It Up, Light It Up, Smoke It Up, a Cypress Hill song. The group had agreed to contribute that track. But according to Be Real, a member of Cypress Hill, the real problem began when Ice Cube heard another song during their studio session. While listening to tracks for the movie, Ice Cube got a sneak peek of Cypress Hill's upcoming album, Temples of Boom. They played him Throw Your Set in the Air, their lead single. Cube loved the song and wanted it for the Friday soundtrack instead. Cypress Hill politely declined since it was the title track for their upcoming project.
We play him the song and he likes it. He goes, yeah, that's perfect, me and Muggs ask him, hey man, we got a couple of tracks from the album, you want to hear it?
We played him a song called Throw Your Set in the Air. And he was like, oh, that's banging. Can I get that for the movie instead?
They're like, man, we'd love to give it to you, but this is gonna be the single on our album.
Cube pressed a bit, even asking them to play it again. They did, but they stood firm that the track was off limits. Fast forward to the release of the Friday soundtrack, which came out shortly before Temples of Boom. A friend of Be Real's heard one of the songs on the soundtrack and immediately called him, saying, "Did you let Ice Cube use one of your album tracks for Friday?" Confused, Be Real explained that they had only given Cube Roll It Up, Light It Up, Smoke It Up, but the friend wasn't talking about that track. He was referring to something that sounded suspiciously like Throw Your Set in the Air, skeptical at first. Be Real listened to Cube's track and his heart sank. The hook sounded eerily similar to their song, with only minor tweaks to the lyrics.
The Get High song, yeah, we gave that up already. Why? No. The Throw Your Set in the Air thing. I said, no, we didn't give him that. He goes, well, that's in his chorus in his song. Finally, I hear it, and sure enough, there it is, the same. It's like some of the words are changed around, but for the most part, the chorus is the same.
Feeling betrayed, Be Real aired his frustrations in the studio, but eventually the matter died down. Then, Ice Cube later invited Be Real to the studio to record a guest vocal for Caution, a group signed to Lynch Mob Records. During the session, Be Real heard a few lines from a song that sounded almost identical to lyrics from Temples of Boom. He couldn't believe it. Was Cube trying to lift from them again? Be Real noticed that Cube seemed to pick up on his reaction because when he stepped out of the room and came back, the lines had been removed. To Be Real, this was proof that Cube had been caught red-handed once more.
And I heard a couple lines that were the same things I used on the Temple of Boom record. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, that's my line. In my opinion, I felt like he saw my reaction and I walked out of the room for a second to make a phone call. When I came back, the line was gone.
This was the tipping point for Cypress Hill. Be Real went back to his crew, told them what happened, and they decided it was time to take action. The group released No Rest for the Wicked, a scathing diss track aimed squarely at Ice Cube. And what followed was a back-and-forth exchange of diss tracks between them. The beef between Ice Cube and Cypress Hill grew deeper as both fans and artists began taking sides. Tensions in the Los Angeles rap scene were already high, and this feud only added fuel to the fire. Around the same time, Ice Cube was dealing with another issue involving LA artists Cam and Solo, who were caught up in a business feud with him. Things came to a head when Cube and Solo crossed paths at a Los Angeles traffic light. According to Solo, the encounter quickly turned physical. He claimed to have gotten the better of Ice Cube during the fight, and in the scuffle, Cube's chain somehow ended up in Solo's possession.
Knocked him down, knocked him out, woke him back up, whooped on his Somehow his chain fell in my hand. I don't know how it got in my hand, but it fell in my hand.
Not one to let a moment like that go unnoticed, Solo made his way to a Cypress Hill show at the House of Blues, where he held the chain up for the crowd to see. The audience went wild, and the moment was even captured in a photo that circulated widely at the time. Eventually, the beef was officially squashed, putting an end to one of the more intense rivalries of the era.